One day, Hannah and Tom, when I get that music piped through to you all and you can hear it, you're going to be as stoked as I am. This is FoosWeek. I'm Adam Gilson. That's Hannah Smith. That's Tom Robinson. We're excited. This is episode number 2. We're talking about the past week in Foosball. We're talking about the week coming up in Foosball. I want to thank our Patreons that, as my dad always used to say, we are because you is, and we is because you are. And we're here now because of you, and we appreciate that. Check us out, patreon.com/ what, Tom? Foosball
Radio.
Foosball Radio, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We got a lot to go over tonight. We're going to have our two first official guests.
Hold on.
What?
But before we go any further.
What?
What gives you the impression that I'm not stoked?
You look at you. You've got a pullover button down. Wait, that's a zipper. Oh, my gosh.
It's dad clothes.
I love pullovers.
No, I love pullovers, too. I'm just saying. No, you're stoked. I'm sorry, Tom. I want to... I'll cede my time. Go ahead.
All right. No, go.
Oh, that was it. I just want to thank everybody on Patreon. We're going to speak their names later. But we got a lot going on. You're going to talk about what you were doing this weekend. And there was anybody else that's in Twitch that has any comments or questions or anything, let us know. But we have our first two official guests tonight. Jason Wicks of Foosball Sports Network and Dawid of House of Tournaments. We're going to be talking about their tournaments too. But before we jump into anything, I don't know how you doing, Hannah.
Hey, I'm doing great. It's Valentine's Day. Got a smile on my face, and I'm glad to be back hanging out with you clowns.
You've got a heart filled with candy, I hear tell.
I do. Yeah. Here. The heart, it's the box, and then...
That's just so amazing. Is it actual? That's not real candy, though. Those are little...
That's not special effects, by the way. That's real. That's truly candy.
There's no filters, Mom.
You're welcome.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, this was actually my mother's. I made her give it to me. So I was like, Mom, I'm doing the show tonight. And she's like, oh, well, you've got to wear an ugly Valentine sweater. And I was like, oh, perfect. And she brings out this little cute one with a heart. And I was like, no. I need the candy box. And she's like, okay.
Oh, no. Let me get this straight. No, Hannah, your mom has a variety of ugly Valentine sweaters?
Oh, yeah. She does the whole ugly Christmas sweater game. She has it all.
Impressive.
Oh,
yeah.
So then Christmas... it's on too? Is it like the whole thing? Every single thing you could do a
Easter,
sweater.
We have all the things for sure. Yep, she's got it. If it's a holiday, we're celebrating.
I gotta ask you real quick: is it not the biggest thrill in the world, Hannah, to say to somebody, "I'm doing a show tonight"? Isn't that fun? I'm doing a show,
right? I mean, yeah, it's kind of fun.
It is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Cool.
I love because you said that your mom was, anyways.
Well,
yeah, she was excited, so I was excited.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is kind of cool, but at home when I say that, it's sort of like, okay, whatever.
Okay, well, we've got the whole evolution of doing the show here.
What?
I'm still. and apropos of nothing, Tom, how did your weekend go?
And actually, well, it was more than just whatever. No, it was actually a great weekend because of the Smashdown being such a great success this past weekend. We just had a blast and. Got to hang out with really nice people from Canada.
They're all nice from Canada.
Oh, they are.
Every one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has that been your experience, Hannah?
I love the Canadian crew. Yeah, they're all fabulous to be around. Super, super cool.
And they even smiled when they took our money and went home.
They're nice people, Tom. What do you expect? Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to give my money to somebody, it may as well be somebody that I like, that are nice. So.
I get that. Oh, he's crying. Oh, okay.
No.
So, all right.
I'm over it.
Okay, good. All right. So now I'm asking people in Twitch, anybody that was at a foosball tournament this weekend or had anything they want to share, we got an eye there, but Tom, you were there, boots on the ground, mash up the first one of the year in your area. Paint a picture
One
for
of
us.
these days, you'll learn that it's smashed down.
Whatever.
Come on.
It's one of these days.
Listen.
One of these days.
There's an SH in it.
It's, it was 40 players. So, yeah, I mean, that for us, I mean, that's, if we can gather 40 players in one place on a Saturday when people typically want to do other things, it was just amazing. And the vibe when people are having a good time, right, Hannah? You go to a tournament where you feel like everybody's talking and having a great time. It just makes all the difference. I just, I would hope that every Smashdown could have that same kind of vibe. But anyway. We did have a lot of fun, and there was some fierce competition going on, I have to say. Big rivalry. The guys from Massachusetts were coming down. Matt Contoy and his buddies like John Garcia. Or they're just, they were. I think a lot of us at the 518 were thinking those guys from Massachusetts. They walked away with the prize last time. We're not going to let that happen this time. So, well, at least they didn't walk away with a prize, but we didn't either. Oh well.
Yeah, that's super cool that you have that little rivalry. It's kind of like that with
Hmm.
Mississippi, Louisiana, like that little crew because, we're so close
Cool.
and, we have the Louisiana, Mississippi State and like say Louisiana will like count up how many events the Louisiana people won and then how many events the Mississippi people won and like that's who won the tournament and like then we do it
Cool.
again at Mississippi. So like I like that little rivalry. It is really really nice and of course we're all a big family at the end of the day. So
Between
very
Yeah.
cool
the
that
be,
that
Yeah.
environment's everywhere.
between that player base, Hannah, how many players are there between those two areas? Like,
Well, there's a lot more in Louisiana than there is in Mississippi,
oh,
so
really?
I'm not really sure.
Mm.
Yeah, they usually have way more players than us, and that's why they win ever. Just kidding. But but like yeah, they have a better a stronger beginner base. We have no beginners here. We have maybe 5 beginners, maybe, and that's pushing
Wow.
it. And most of those are players that came back to the game. So it's just like Louisiana really trumps all that, which is great because they're really growing their scene. They have a lot of locations, and that's awesome. We need that since Mississippi doesn't have a scene and we're not growing it. Then,
Right.
I love the South to flourish.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is
They-
kind of weird when you think about the scene when it comes to foosball. A lot of the people that are playing within the 518, the same idea. Very few beginners, just people that are coming back to the game after a while. Might have been former pros even in some cases.
Well,
But it seems to be the case now.
yeah, actually that speaks to a comment that I'm seeing by Clay Toomey, to I don't know.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Temectant. I have a question. Were there any rookies who played like pros at the
Oh,
Mash
oh,
Smash?
Come on, Adam.
absolutely.
I can do it.
Absolutely.
The Smash Down.
Yeah. I mean, so first of all, I have to say that one of our local 518ers, he's actually a prodigy of Mark Drolette. He came to us through Foosball Clubs USA, had been through the program in the Plattsburgh area with Mark Drolette, and actually went to World Cup eventually as a junior. And or actually, he was qualified to go, but he couldn't actually make it because of the cost. But Gabe Sisko has been in our area now as a college student. And, I guess on a tour, if he went out to tour, he'd be considered a rookie or an amateur, but he plays like an expert. I mean, he makes the finals every week when he comes to play with us on DYP night.
And it begs the question as we talk about foosball, are they really an expert? I mean, are they really a rookie if they're playing like an
Right.
expert? Or is it
Right.
even insulting to them to say that, as we discuss what it is that people can or can't play with? Play like. And sorry, I need a little coffee. But my point is that when we talk about it, it's like the same thing. Like, he played good for a 50-year-old or something like that. Like, I think there's a lot of this weird categorization that we have when we discuss how somebody plays. Like it detracts while also compliments.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anywhere else. That was it. That was within scene.
No.
Here, I'll pick it up for you.
There you
I
go.
got you.
All right.
Yeah.
So fun kind of chat I had with Keith Glenn as we were commentating. I'm not sure if we were even on the commentary talking or if it was just me and him, kind of hanging out in the booth. But he mentioned, what if we changed the ranking names to like rank 1 instead of beginner? Say beginner, you might not be, a true quote unquote beginner, but that's what the word implies. So, it's like if I was rank 1, if I moved up, maybe that would be considered differently because I can be rank 1 and I can never win anything. But if I get bumped out of beginner, maybe that means something different. Amateur, rookie, technically if you're going by baseball stats, rookie would be out of the whack anyways. It's a little out of order is what Keith was kind of explaining. So we kind of talked about how changing the wording of the ranks might change the idea of how people say, because Keith was like, I tell people I'm flying to 10 events this year and I'm on the plane but I'm a beginner, but it's like that person understands it a little bit differently if he would have said I'm rank 1. There's 3 ranks or whatever. So we kind of just chatted about that. But it was a pretty cool aspect, I thought.
Wow, and that was Keith's idea, or he said, or that was.
Yeah, that's what he was talking to me in the booth. I loved it. Rank 1 through 7 instead of words like Clay says. Because different.
Sure. That beats my thing because I was thinking rank breakfast burrito, rank stuffed crust pizza, rank.
Now that's something I could sport.
Yeah, me too. I think I would play more if I could be rank breakfast burrito. I'm just I'm just spitballing here. This is all being recorded. People can use this. It's gonna be fine.
And your hair will just be cinnamon bun.
Don't you talk about my hair. I'm just kidding.
That's master rank.
Yeah, you kidding?
Master rank
we'll bring
hair.
back the master rank for that. Did you see that picture that Sullivan took of it? That was art. That was a good shot on her.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You didn't see it, Tom, did you?
I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that be my I should have had that be my profile picture. It's been a little stale, my wife and I, for the last year in that photo. I think I'll just do my hair bun.
We'd frame it.
Change it on Valentine's Day. Really go all out.
Just let her. I'll text her and be like, by the way,
put a little red heart in there.
I had to put a little. Before we move on here, because we've got a nice little. I'll set it up. We don't need to go there yet. Hold on, Tom. Anything else from the weekend you want to?
Oh, I mean, just congratulations to all the winners. Kevin Walker, our pro master, had a pretty good showing with open singles and making the finals of open doubles. Sammy Dijon, who's semi-retired from the foosball scene, showed up and showed his continuing prowess in open doubles, and dominated at the end in the open doubles with Scott Sweeting.
Is Scott Sweeting? He's not a kid. Oh, he's a Rochester guy.
Yeah. He's a Rochester dude,
and Kevin. You say Kevin Walker's name a lot. I feel like I have not really seen him play much.
Right. No, there's
he local?
video of Kevin.
I mean, I know his name. I know he's like good.
Yeah,
but...
he's out of Albany, and he was a protege of Greg Mendel. So Greg, had Kevin out on the road as a youngster at the age of 15, 16. And really started to move up the ranks very quickly. In fact, he got voted most improved player of 2015 or 2016, something like that.
Oh, but he's a newer player.
So relatively speaking.
I thought he was around.
He began when he was 15, so now he's 37, 38, I think, something like that.
He's good for 37.
Yeah. Oh,
it was a joke. I'm making a joke.
Yeah. Good for 37.
Yeah.
Good,
ding, ding, ding.
Good for that age group. Yeah.
Good one. 700. Good win.
But, it's just it's always a pleasure to watch a person like Kevin because of his methodology. He's very calculating. He calculates everything. So, and you can see it in his game. He's very deliberate about his passing. He'll do a wall series, but also stick lane, and it's one or the other. And usually you can't stop either one because he's waiting for you to move out of the way, and then he goes, and it's that consistent.
That's awesome.
But when he lines up for his pull shot, it's like loading the gun. He pushes the ball across and sets. And I stood there watching him, and I was counting my head, and he was going consistently 8, 9, 10 seconds before he pulled the trigger, and 9 times out of 10 scored the hell out of that ball.
He was scoring 90%.
Well, I'm sure Clay would disagree. It was, to me, it seemed like 90%, but probably 75. But yeah, so to watch him and to count, like actually physically count in your own head while you're watching this guy sit on the ball, always set up within about a second and a half and then give a full 10-second count. Of course, that drives the defense nuts.
Yeah.
And then he just goes boom and it's gone.
Does he actually shout the words boom and then shoot?
Yes. Yes. No. He's actually stoic. He never reacts to anything.
I one time back when I was really playing a lot back in 2005, I was in Vegas, and I remember being so in the moment and focused that I screamed right before I shot because I knew it was going to go in, and it went in, and I was like, I knew it was going to go in, and they said you distracted me. I was like, you were in La La Land. Like there was no way you couldn't race. You'd have to get in your car to be able to race that from where you were. I wasn't like a jerk, but. Good.
You screamed before you shot.
I screamed. You screamed. We all screamed. I'm seeing in the chat, people are agreeing with this ranking system, this number ranked. And if there's people that we might be talking to tonight who might have a handle or a hand in that, maybe we could talk to them about it. A certain rhymes with Ovid. I did it bad. That's bad. All right.
One of our guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Keith could probably explain it a little bit better. We sat there and probably talked about this for 15 minutes ish, and he kind of talked me through how he felt about the rankings and how talking to other people it felt, and that's something that you don't always think about, especially whenever you're higher ranked. You don't get to think about that. But I do experience that because Bracklin was saying the same thing. It's like I have to tell people I'm a beginner, but I'm not. I've won 3 titles now. I'm winning rookie and amateur. Like, what rank am I? And it is confusing, and I think that people would like to hear a discussion on that. And I think Keith is a cool one to pitch his idea because he's cool. But I think that's interesting that other people are agreeing that the number system would be different.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like that. Before we go on to Jason's segment, Hannah, was there anything you saw over the weekend in foosball that you wanted to comment on?
I did not. I saw a few pictures from Smashdown with Tom, and it's about all we watched a ton of foosball at our house this weekend. I don't know why. We just went back and watched old World Cup stuff, different table stuff. We learned a lot about Garlando tables that I found was pretty interesting, that you can kind of gather just watching foosball with someone else and kind of making, general comments. But I think that's, helpful for sure.
Yeah.
So we got to watch a lot of old foosball, old good stuff, from back in the day. So
Awesome.
That's you know what? There's so few households across America who can honestly say they sat down and watched foosball specifically, and I think I would do the same thing. I do that by myself, by the way, but it is certainly something that you obviously and your significant other, your Valentine, can do together. That's cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was great, and I learned a lot. And it's insane how much you can actually learn if you just pay attention, just a little bit.
That's good advice. Yeah, I was gonna make a joke about my wife. We'll watch my old tapes of foosball with me, like from back in the day. But there's no joke there. She's just being polite, so never mind. Never mind. It didn't land.
She's really polite.
We'll edit this out.
Adam needs a hug. Adam needs a hug.
I am a hug. All right. Okay. So I'll set this up. Jason, Foosball Sports Network this weekend, Dallas Fort Worth Championship. It's going to be a good one. He's streaming. Foosball Sports Network is streaming it. He's got some things going on this weekend that are going to be a lot of fun to check out that he's doing outside of just the regular tournament that they're doing. So he talks about that and some other things about Foosball Sports Network. And he also, and you're going to see it on the bottom of the screen, he's giving Foosball radio listeners a 10% discount at foosballsportsnetwork.com. If you want to go check it out, it's a promo code. I put it in there. You'll be able to see it as it goes. But yeah, I'm just going to play the spot. Cool. He was he was busy this evening, so he couldn't be with us tonight. But this is the spot. We talk about it and then, listen to it and then talk about it when it's done. All right?
Cool.
I'm Adam Gilson. This is FoosWeek, episode number 2, and I'd like to welcome our first official guest, Jason Wicks of Foosball Sports Network. How's it going, Jason?
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. So you're prepping for this weekend. What's going on?
We got the second annual DFW Championships of Foosball. I picked this tournament up last year. Before I started playing foosball, they had this tournament every year, and I heard stories about it. Multiple different people ran it throughout the years here in DFW, and since I'm the current tournament director here, I thought, hey, let's throw an annual event, and this is it. This is our second year. We're pretty excited about it.
So last year was the first year, and tell me how. So it's a $5,000 this year, and last year was it in that same range, or is this like a slow growth thing? Like you have a long term?
Same.
It's same. And what kind of turnout did you get last year, being your first year?
Last year we had 99 players.
Wow.
We had about 30 to 40 spectators. It was also during the NFL playoffs, so we had a lot of people in the bar watching sports and stuff like that. And the Cowboys actually played that weekend while we were there, so there were
kind of
several hundred people in the bar. This year, now that they asked us to put it after the Super Bowl so that they don't have to compete, so we moved it a little bit, but we had probably 150, 160 people there just for foosball.
That's awesome. And what's the venue?
It's at the Carrollton Chop Shop Sports Garage. It's in the corner of Carrollton and North Dallas.
Okay, so
if you've ever been to Addison, Texas, it's like 1 mile from there.
1 mile from there. Okay, and you stream on Saturdays from there, right?
Yes.
Every
Saturday.
The same location. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen when you pan around, I'm like, that's a nice. It's roomy, nice. I like that. So what kind of events? Like, is it? What are we expecting to see over the course of the weekend?
We do pretty much a standard, schedule. We do our, we call it a mega DYP, and we do mixed on Friday. The mega DYP is a monster DYP version that we've kind of created here throughout the years. You can actually find our format on Modern Foosball under the Texas Draw.
Okay.
And they just built it in House of Tournaments as well. It's called, I forget what it's called. It's not called Texas Draw, but it's a little bit different than what you would see in most modern monster DYPs, where every player, we play 4 rounds of foosball. Every match you get a new partner. Once the teams are assigned per round, then the teams are seeded, top seed to the bottom, and the number 1 seed plays the number 2 seed, and 3 plays 4, and so on and so forth. It's kind of like a skill-based matchmaking that we do, so that the top players are playing the top players and the lower players are playing the bottom players, and so forth. And everybody has a fair chance of making the elimination bracket. After 4 rounds, we seed everybody based on their own results, and then the number 1 seed gets to pick their partner from the next 3 available players.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So that it integrates basically all level of player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There, on any given night, we have anywhere from 5 to 9 pros and masters that show up, and generally half of them don't make it
to the end.
Yeah, they don't make it in the elimination bracket.
Wow.
Like, for instance, this past weekend, I didn't make it in the elimination bracket. Warren Van Landingham didn't make it in the elimination bracket. Mike Archer didn't make it in the elimination bracket. Dave Raddick didn't make it in the elimination bracket. And none of the teams that get created in the elimination bracket are super teams. Almost every single one of them are a pro with an amateur, an expert with an amateur. And so there's very rarely, I'd say once every 6 weeks, we get pro and pro in the elimination bracket. So it's very fair all the way through the entire night.
Wow. That's awesome. And so, but that's your regulars, your
Yep.
weeklies.
Yeah,
and that's translating.
I like this format so much. I want to expose as many people as possible to it. So
yeah,
I do it at this tournament in hopes that people are like, hey, I want to do this at my own location. And I get a lot of messages throughout the year about, hey, what do you do? How is it different? And I tell them, and I'm like, hey, just go to Modern Foosball and set one up and run a test. But as far as that night, so we do all the qualifiers that night. There's 4 rounds. And then before everybody leaves, we do the pick your partner function. And then when we show up on Saturday morning, that's when the elimination bracket starts.
Okay.
And then we do just the normal amateur doubles, open doubles, expert singles, open singles. And then on Sunday, we have women's doubles and expert doubles and amateur singles. So pretty standard, tournament format.
Right. So is there a signature event, or is this kind of format that you're talking about going to be the signature because of how you're creating that kind of spread as far as
so far the mega DYP is our signature event. I'm anticipating we're going to be kind of changing a little bit over the next couple of years to more of a Swiss style for more events once that becomes a little bit more popular. I know a lot of people are having success with that across the US right now. We've been doing this mega DYP format or monster DYP format for going on probably 7 years now, and we've had 5 or 6 or 7 different versions of it, and I really like the current one. So there are a lot of Swiss tournaments in Dallas. There are very few double elimination events. So we're probably going to start doing a little bit more of that with this tournament specifically in the coming years. But this is what we kind of did last year, and we kind of just rolling with it this year.
Cool, that's awesome. So long term, that's your goal. But in the short term, you like the big thing that when people know or talk about Jason Wicks or they talk about Foosball Sports Network, it's the streaming. You've been at the forefront of the streaming for since I got back into it, in the last 2 years or so. What are we looking at? And I've seen some things. What are we looking at this weekend as far as what it is you're doing streaming wise?
So I just dumped a whole bunch of more money into my setup. I got a new laptop, new audio interface. I've got new cameras, microphones. I've got new software that I run my stream through called vMix, and I now have simultaneous multi-camera instant replay. One click of a button, I can do whatever I want, slow motion, speed it up. And so I'm looking to generate the ability to have multiple cameras on the table, showing multiple different things. Because the one thing we always miss in foosball is the replay, and it's also the reaction to the shot. So the ball goes in and we never get to see on film the reaction by either side of the table. And so that's kind of where I want to go, is I want to start showing the players and their personalities during the match, which we don't really ever get to see.
So you're giving, with your stream, you're giving us obviously the play on the table and a replay, slow motion on the table, but you're also showing us the immediate reaction in a way that isn't that is agreeable to look at, right? Like we can see what's actually happening. But
Right. I mean, in history, yeah, and in foosball history, you have a camera, a static camera on the table. It shows the play. The ball goes in, and by the time you switch to the other camera to see the players, the reaction's already there. With having the multi-camera instant replay, I can capture that and go back and show it after the fact. That way you don't miss the end of the shot and you get the entire reaction. That's kind of what my goal is.
That. And so is the angle from like the perspective of as if you were standing reffing the match, or like what are you still playing around with the angles, or like how's that going to look?
The main camera is pretty much the same. I believe it's about a 45-degree angle. Don't quote me on that, but that's Jim Stevens teaching me a long time ago camera angles. But the player reaction cameras are probably, if you were standing at the corner of the table, about 5 feet back. With the cameras that I have, I can zoom while we're watching it, so I can zoom in and out. That way I can get a close up if it's singles. You know, the one thing that we struggle with here in the US is getting a lot of camera help. Like in Europe, and you see with the ITSF events, they have cameramen. Mm-hmm. We don't. We have static cameras, and it's kind of hard to figure out where these players are going, especially during timeouts or ball off the table.
Right.
We kind of just get to look at a blank table or somebody standing off screen, and I'm trying to come up with a way to fix that.
Okay.
So,
and you have
that's the plan.
You have ideas like this weekend, and you're kind of like shaking those ideas out. That's awesome. So, all right, wow. So you're streaming it and you're running it. Are you playing in it?
Yes, I am playing.
Jeez. What are you
playing? 3 events.
Open doubles, I'm assuming?
Open doubles, open singles, and then mixed.
Mixed. So who are you playing with in open doubles? If you don't mind me asking.
Tommy Atkinson.
Tommy
Yeah,
Atkinson.
we played together last year, and unfortunately we got double dipped by Brandon and Ellen. So I have a little bit of revenge on my mind.
Good. Revenge is
and
good.
then I'm playing with Brittany in mixed.
Cool. That's awesome. And in singles, that's always fun.
Yes,
it's going to be exciting.
It is fun.
Yeah, that's going to be good. So, all right. So we've got that. Now, I want to ask, while you're here, you recently, because a lot of people, I knew you as Bearded Wonder, and then now you've switched to Foosball Sports Network, and the goal for that, is there like an umbrella goal? Like you don't need to discuss like business plans or anything, but like,
sure.
like for those of us that know that brand, like where is that all headed? Is it?
So Bearded Wonder was kind of like my persona. It was a nickname that Brittany gave me, and I never knew she gave it to me. And so one day I was like, what should I call my business? And she was like, you should call it Bearded Wonder Foosball. And I was like, well, what's that? And she said, well, that's what I call you when you're not looking. And so that kind of became my first iteration of my business. And then, I was struggling coming up with different merchandise ideas, and, my face on it. Nobody wants to wear my face. So I started Foosball Sports Network as kind of like a streaming thing, kind of like Inside Foos. A lot of motivation comes from that. And then, shortening it to FSN, I kind of run into the Fox Sports Network and stuff like that. So it's very sport styled. My goal is to offer, in the long run, a one-stop shop for anything foosball. So tables, parts, tournaments, streaming, everything other than software. Cause I have Dawid for that. I don't really need my own software.
Right.
But that's my end goal is I want to, run and host tournaments. I want to stream. I want to produce. I want to help players get to tournaments, with my recent launch of the jerseys that I did.
Oh yeah.
My goal is to help players get to more tournaments and get names on TV. That's the end goal for me as well.
And tell us about the jerseys. Tell us about what you're talking about there.
So I have two different groups of jerseys. I have my teammates, my team players, which right now is Brandon Munoz, Blake Robertson, Michael Stahl, and I'm looking for more. I've had a few other conversations, and hopefully I'll have some more soon. But basically, I create a personalized jersey for them to wear when they play, and they're available on my website. People can buy them if they like the player, support the player, and anytime you buy their jersey, they get a portion of the sales to go directly to them. Help them go to more tournaments, pay for entry fees and stuff like that. And then on the flip side, I have a club program where there are foosball clubs all across the United States that have very devoted followers and people that play in their clubs. And I'd like to be able to give back to the club community by offering club jerseys for them as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So where would somebody go to invest, to look at, to find everything that you're talking about? What's your website?
FoosballSportsNetwork.com.
FoosballSportsNetwork.com. And as far as streaming this weekend, because when I put this up, when we're doing this tomorrow night on FoosWeek, because this is pre-recorded, obviously, hopefully everybody that's watching this realizes that. I want to have your Twitch stream, like you people know your Twitch stream already, but just for the one or two people that don't, it's twitch.tv/
Foosball Sports Network. And we're actually going to try to stream 3 tables this weekend. So Foosball Sports Network, Foosball Sports Network 2, and Foosball Sports Network 3.
Those are numerals?
We're going to test the bandwidth of this bar that we play at. And
for the addresses, are those numerals? 2,
yeah,
3? Okay,
yeah, just awesome. Number 2, number 3.
Okay, God, I hope that works. That'd be so awesome to have that many things going on that weekend.
Yeah,
and see those.
Oh, it's going to be a lot. I've got my daughter coming up to help me throughout the weekend. She's going to be my switchboard operator.
Cool.
My director. So.
Wow. That's awesome. You got a whole a family production going on there. That's really neat.
I got Brittany's going to be running the registration and the calling the matches and doing all that, and I'm going to be doing the streaming. I'm going to have a whole bunch of different people come up and do commentary with me.
Nice.
That's one of my goals. Is I've had the ability to do commentary for years, and I just get so tired playing foosball that commentary is hard to do.
No, I can hear you there. I don't play. All the tournaments I've been to the last year and a half, I just can't play. There's no.
I'm still in that phase where I want to play.
Right.
I want to win. I want to become a master. I want to win a world title, and I'm not ready to give that up just to go full streaming.
Right. But I mean, not only are you playing and streaming, you're running the tournament too.
Yes. I'm trying to sell tables. I'm trying to make sure that all the tables are level, making sure that they're lubed, making sure there's no problems, all that. I actually went to my bar yesterday and changed 40 men on my 5 foosball tables. 40.
Yeah, just as an aside, I don't think people really fully appreciate how much tournament directors and people that do this, how much they put into it, how much they care. Like, it just kills me, Jason. Like, I'm on the outside looking at. I talk about foosball. I do this. I do what I can, but the people like you that are down in the fields in the trenches doing it, I'm like, would I want to spend my freaking Sunday changing 40 foosball men?
No, luckily I had some of the guys in my local club show up and help me.
Yeah.
I had 3 other guys show up on their own whenever I said, hey, I need to go change men on the table. Like, well, do you need help? Let me know.
That's awesome.
Which doesn't normally happen. Last year I had a little bit of help setting up for the DFW Championships, and then I did all the teardown by myself. I was there from 9 a.m. on Monday until 9 p.m. on Monday, tearing down every table and putting them all away.
Right. See, and this is the other thing, and I always say this: if you're wanting to do something for foosball, do something for foosball. Ask your local tournament director, how can I help? It doesn't matter. Bring you a coffee or help you do a teardown. It doesn't matter. Like, well, anyways, I appreciate that you do that, Jason, and I'm looking forward to watching the tournament this weekend. Should probably wrap up here, but is there any last thoughts or anything you're looking forward to? Anything that just pops in your mind right now about this weekend or going forward even this year?
No, I'm looking forward to this. I'm hoping to do a few more tournaments this year. I know we have Texas State coming up in May. Same weekend as every year, Memorial Day weekend. I think that's the 26th through the 29th this year. But I'm looking to do a couple other tournaments as well. I've got people that have reached out that are interested for my help, and
nice.
I'm hoping this is a success and I can take this show on the road.
Yeah. So when you say other tournaments, you mean locally or like across
anywhere
on the road? Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to start, Texas, Oklahoma, local, close this region. Because I don't think financially we're ready just to, throw it in the truck
Right.
and drive it across the country. But
Right.
but definitely, I'm looking to help people, and I'd like to either give advice, be a sounding board, tell somebody, hey, that's not going to work. I'm open to pretty much any kind of thing that I can help people with. That's one of the downfalls of being where I'm at, is I get to help a lot of people or give a lot of advice, regardless if they take it or not.
Mm. As a teacher, Jason, I hear you. But yeah, well, Jason Wicks, Foosball Sports Network, I really, really appreciate you being here with us and being our first guest on FoosWeek as we go on our own little journey here, and looking forward to having you on as many times as this year permits when you start doing everything that it is that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to watching the tournament this weekend. It's going to be exciting.
Thank you so much. Glad to have me on.
Yep. Thank you. Well, there you have it, folks. Jason Wicks, Foosball Sports Network, giving us the outline of everything going on this weekend. This is the second year of doing that, and it sounds like there's just big things happening. I don't know. Hannah, what'd you think?
There's a lot to unpack. 99 players last year. That's great. That's amazing. And I'm just sure there's going to be more than that this year. I really enjoy working with Jason. I think a lot of him. I think he does a great job. I think him and Brittany both care about the tournaments and what they're doing. So I think it's awesome. I'm super excited. Like you said, 3 streams, how fun is that going to be to watch foosball all weekend? Like, you know what I mean? Like, for the dweebs like me who like watching foosball all weekend, like, how fun if you can't go. I'm really excited. I think it's really something nice. I love the Swiss system. There's so much good in what he just said in those few minutes that I can get behind and support. So super happy for him and excited about it.
Tom?
He just seems to be full of ideas, lots of ideas, and is willing to put his neck out there to do it. The T-shirt idea, especially for the players and helping support the players and get them out there with some extra cash to attend more tournaments, and then of course making those available to clubs too. I mean, I'll talk to the guys here at the 518. I have a feeling they'll want to get involved with that for sure.
Yeah.
But, really exciting stuff, and of course he's got a great voice. I mean, there's that too.
Yeah, you can relate to that, Mr. Radio. I can't do it.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
Jason and I will have to talk.
Right,
he may have a new career that he doesn't know about yet.
Yeah, and I could just sit between the two sonorousness of the two of you. But yeah, and I'm going to tell you. So obviously, he's what he's doing is business. It's business oriented. Foosball Sports Network. He's doing all that. But this is the thing that I've been telling people ever since I went on my little ranting rant back in September on Foos Talk Live. It turned from there. Like, do something.
Do something.
If you care about foosball, do something, and it's anything. Get a guy a cup of coffee. Get drive somebody. Whatever it is. He's doing what he's doing, and it's only going to be better for foosball.
Oh, no
it's only going to be better for foosball.
And I think we talked about this in our last TNA that there is this now movement across the country. I know in this area, in the Northeast, there's conversations happening at the Smashdown even talking about, hey, guys, why don't we do some kind of regional Northeast, tournament of some kind? Let's talk about it. Maybe shoot for 2025, something that brings this area, finally another tournament, because New York State's has been gone, Maryland State's has been gone, Pennsylvania State's have been gone. So we need to, coalesce around this idea of maybe doing something regional. But then you've got, of course, the Pacific Northwest with our guest Dawid.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is
Dawid.
Yeah, hello. And that was a nice thing. The lead into that is that Jason mentioned Modern Foosball / now House of Tournaments, Dawid, and the software he's talking about. And that's going to fit into everything that's going on here. Now, I've got this fancy graphic that I spent hours doing. You all might not be able to see it unless you're on Twitch, but I just turned it on now because this is now our second guest, Dawid Kalev, House of Tournaments, is going to talk to us about.
Look at that.
Do you see
Look
that?
at that.
That's three different. That's three different colors right there. And there's a puppy. The puppy. Don't apologize for puppies ever. Look at her.
Right?
Or him. Him. Okay. Anyways, Dawid, thanks for being here. How's it going, man?
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me. It's going well.
So you're all geared up. This just starting on this Friday is MoneyBall.
Yes. We've got MoneyBall starting Friday. It's a 4-day tournament. We go all the way from Monday with, I believe, singles event on Monday.
Wait, what's on Monday?
A lot of singles events, I think
Oh.
open singles and other types of singles events are all happening on Monday.
Why is that? Just
I'm not sure. I feel like it's a little tricky to kind of put so many open events on the schedule, and MoneyBall is a little special with their extra MoneyBall doubles event, which is a high stakes open doubles. So it's like a scheduling thing.
I see.
Oh, that's actually a unique
Mhm.
idea to separate the singles onto Monday, so there's no conflicts with other shall we say
Mhm.
doubles competition. That's a really interesting idea.
It's also an experiment. We will see how well this works for us, but I believe the schedule will be just fine.
So, Dawid, you're the epitome of
Mhm.
just do something because you've been at this for a while now. How's things going with of course your software? What's the
Mhm.
latest greatest? Had you made some improvements of late?
There will be a few things that we will try at MoneyBall, which are somehow related to the improvements to the software itself.
Mm-hmm.
The MoneyBall doubles will have a new format that we'd want to try out. I don't know how many football players are soccer fans, but World Cup just happened in 2022, and the MoneyBall doubles will be run in a similar format that the World Cup was. We will have 16 teams. They will be split into 4 groups, and within the groups, we will do a round robin matchup, and 2 teams from each group will then advance to a single elimination knockout stage.
Oh,
And
that's really cool.
Mhm.
and how much? What's the payouts on that? Because it's Moneyball. It's like, is it winner take all or is it pay to 2 or?
Um, 3 places are being paid out. The first
Mm.
place will take 50% of the money, 30 and 20 for the third place. And the sign-up fees are high. To sign up for Moneyball doubles as an expert or above, you will have to pay $100 entry fee. For amateurs and below, it will be 50. And all of this money goes directly into payouts.
Wow.
And what?
So 100% payback. Like, wow.
100% payback, yeah.
Awesome.
What are
Hannah,
the what are the odds of an amateur or let's shall we say expert or under
Mhm.
making to the finals? What are the odds on that?
Historically speaking, very low.
Yeah, yeah.
is it
But
handicapped? It's not handicapped. It's straight up,
it's
right?
not handicapped. It's a straight up open event at high stakes.
Hannah, have you played an event like that? Just winner take all, like 100% back in? Is that something that's because you play a lot more than I think any of us? Is that a common?
No. I personally don't, there's several events that I go to that, the women's stuff will be like 100% payback, but it's spread through, first through third, like that. But still, again, I think, several of the deciding factors of why I would go to some are, some of the events are like 30% payback if you win, or like 40% payback. Like, and it's women. It's not like we have a ton of teams laying around, So I think that's huge. If I'm a master, if I'm just going to play foosball, I think that's a great setup. So hats off. Super cool idea of 100% payback. I love that.
Tom, I
So,
totally, but I interrupt you.
no, you
Okay.
didn't. Did you look like you were about to interrupt me?
I'm always looking like I'm about to interrupt you. I can't help it.
Go. No,
So,
I think
anyways, I
they're.
just wanted to say,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
just totally messing with you.
now,
I'm
now I'm really messing with you.
Now I'm interrupting you in case
Now
you're.
I'm really
Yeah,
messing
yeah.
with
No, okay, go ahead, Tom. Go ahead. Here, I'm gonna stand. I'll stand over here.
you. Adam, please come back. Please come back.
So I guess I have a few questions for you, David. I don't know you so well, but I want to know,
Mhm.
how you got into the software ideas and how you've kind of crafted these foosball software did you get into foosball and say, wow, something's wrong here, I need to work on this, I have some ideas, let me fix it? Or, were you brought in just to do software, or how did that kind of transpose?
I suppose you can kind of say that. I got into foosball years ago. I got on tour with a friend of mine who I always play doubles with, and we weren't very excited about how things are being done and how difficult it is to participate in a foosball tournament. We got tired at long waits, all the problems. So I figured that I'll try to contribute the best way I can, which is software.
Awesome. Super cool idea.
And do you play still?
I play. I will try to sign up and play in the MoneyBall doubles. We'll see how it's going to go, because usually whenever
Yeah.
I'm in any way involved in running, I tend not to play very well.
Right. Yeah. And Hannah mentioned this about this weekend, how it's going to be like a foosball nerd's dream to watch everything that's going on at Dallas Fort Worth, especially. I mean, even if they have 2 streams going, that'll be awesome. And I know that the House of Tournaments is running. I saw what you did at the Portland mashup because I was there. Hey, that's why I messed up Smashdown, because of the mashup. Smashdown. That's not my fault. Yeah.
Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
Somebody once told me. Anyways, yeah. So, I saw what you did at the Portland mashup, because you had that great stream going and those 2 really awesome commentators. I forget their names. Super handsome dudes, though. Really funny, and just a lot of fun to watch. And now you're improving upon that and doing some things this weekend that I'm excited to be involved in, because I'm going to be there again. And what are we looking forward to? What are you doing?
There are a few things that we are kind of hoping to introduce over the weekend, and we've been building out tech for it and working stuff out. I feel like the biggest difference will be the way we position cameras all around the foosball table. We have a vendor come in and build out a cube truss around table number 1, and we will attach 4 cameras to it at various angles. So if you watch the mashup, you will remember the overhead view, but back then we had a GoPro attached to the lights, which is problematic in many ways, because whenever the table shakes, and some of the heavy-handed players will shake it a lot, the camera will shake as well. And this time around, we will mount it to the truss directly from above, and it will not have those issues anymore.
So it's a 12 by 10 by 10, 12 by 12 metal thing
It's
around?
10 by 10.
10 by 10 with lights
10
and
by 10 by
cameras.
11. Yeah. It's,
Wow.
Kind of like a cage, in a way.
It will look a bit of it as a cage, I suppose. Yeah.
That's pretty legit, though. I mean, that's going to be like a full-blown production. Like, I don't know if I've seen that here on the state side. They kind of do something like, I mean, Hannah, you've been over there for the World Cup. They do something, but it's a different scale, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I don't really know where the cameras were. They were just kind of like back farther, like they were like the large cameras, and they were back farther, and you had people like working each camera or whatever. But that's super cool that you're gonna get those cool angles, and you have the over top view. I love seeing that one. Like going back and watching World Cup, there's several angles, and you're just like, gosh, I hate watching foosball at this angle. But it takes a foosball player to know, like, man, after going back and rewatching some of the matches, I personally would never want any foosball shot from that angle at all. But, that's me. That's a foosball player. That might look different from someone else.
Like a spectator.
So, yeah, I think it's cool that you have that option, and you're, customizing this like 10 by 10 thing just for footage. That's amazing.
So you're going to have 4 on the table? Oh, go ahead, Tom. I totally interrupted. That was a legit one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Again.
Yeah.
No, well, one of the things that we recognized early on was that foosball is just not watchable for the average consumer. People that are not necessarily foosball players. What are you going to be doing to make that more palatable for the average viewer?
Very often what I'm hearing from my friends who are not foosball players, whenever they tune in and watch the stream, is that they are looking at it and they don't know what happened.
Right.
Meaning that the ball was shot so well and so fast that they couldn't even follow with where did it go? Why was the shot that kind of worked rather than the ones that got blocked? So the way we look at it is that maybe bringing in slow motion replays from various angles is the way to go. Having the overhead view always available as a replay in slow-mo, or zoom in on either goal would maybe alleviate it to some extent. But it's just like, one of the ideas that we'll try to do.
No, I know that in the previous interview
Mm-hmm.
with Jason Wicks, I know that he was also mentioning something like having the ability to freeze a shot or to forward fast or
Mm-hmm.
reverse, and then of course slow mo, all at the touch of a key. Now, do you have equipment that will do that kind of thing? Are you using that kind of gear?
We will have somewhat similar. I
Hmm.
believe Jason's equipment's much better than what we will have to work with, but
Okay.
we'll do our best. We will have the tech to do replays from various angles. We'll definitely have that. We are currently planning to have replays from the various angles on the football action itself. I'm not sure whether we will be able to bring replays from like player reactions, like what Jason was talking about.
Right.
But we'll try. If we can bring it in, we will. But we'll primarily focused on like where did the ball and how did it get to the goal.
Awesome. I have a few questions for you
Hmm.
on about House of Tournaments. So I
Hmm.
went to Colorado State, and that was my first, House of Tournaments, playing and kind of figuring out how to work everything. And I'm not sure if people just don't love change, or if, the foosball players are somewhat older and they're not sure how to navigate tech, on their phones or
Hmm.
whatever. But what are your thoughts in the simplicity of how the system works? Are there improvements you're planning to make, or do you think people just need to figure it out, or do you have any guidelines for that? Because it took me a minute, but
Yeah.
after that, it worked fine. I love that there's so much data on there to go and look up. Well, why is Hannah ranked this? Well, because she lost here and she won this tournament and she got this. And,
Hmm.
I love seeing that graph. So I know there's a ton of data packed into that site. I was just wondering about you don't want to make all of your data super simple because that kind of ruins the fun of all the data that you've gathered. But what are your thoughts on that? People using the House of Tournament software.
I like your question a lot because currently what we've been doing is we've been designing the UX and user experience UI ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean I'm an engineer and my partner is an engineer. So the products of what we design is going to be, working for engineers. But
Sure.
we haven't taken the time to actually design the UX in a way where it would be approachable by football players. So currently, it is way overcomplicated. It's difficult to use. They've been investing in trying to make it simpler. We currently have UX designers working on finding a way to set it up such that it's approachable and you kind of open it up. It's intuitive to know where to go. Um, and we will be implementing those changes in the coming months. Some kind of the timeline we have is that hopefully the new and improved UX will be available by like end of May.
Awesome. That's
So don't
super exciting.
get used to the current UX. It's good to be able to work it, but I wouldn't waste too much of my time on it because it will be different. It will be more approachable. Would be more fun to just use.
Sure. And I had just gotten back from World Cup where they use an entirely
Hmm.
different system, the fast system, and a lot of players had trouble with that as well. And I'd never been to World Cup before. This is my first time, and no one really told me like how to work the system. I just kind of like
Hmm.
piddled around and then just tried and found stuff, and I got through all right. But I was wondering, if my dad was there and he was playing, he would have struggled, just because he's a little bit
Hmm.
older, and he doesn't do all this tech junk like I do. I mean, he can do it, but he's not into it like that. So I was just wondering, I think it's in the middle between fast and, the other softwares.
Hmm.
But I'm super excited to hear the simplicity. Also, I love all the data and the graphs, but for tournament wise, I think that's something important, and that's super awesome that you're working on that. So excited to see
It,
what you
it,
got
it
up your
is
sleeve.
it is really important for us so that players have an easy and a good time just browsing the software whenever they want to follow anybody or follow themselves or just be able to understand what's going on and how things will be done. We're hoping that our software will just help everybody with it. UX is just a very complex thing that's going to take us some time to get done right.
What does UX
I'm sure
stand
you'll do a
for?
good job.
So user experience.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I was like, this guy's talking jargon at me. It's a Tuesday night.
I'm just nodding like I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I've
I know.
seen
I
it.
heard.
I know.
I heard UI, and I was like, I know UI, but user experience. Yeah, no, that's great. That was a great point, Hannah.
And it's, I always like to distinguish between the two because, UX is basically what you experience, and you can have a great UI, but you just won't be able to use it, and that's just bad experience.
So, Dawid, earlier today, we were,
Mhm.
during the show, we were discussing the ranking system that currently exists when we talk about beginner, rookie, amateur, expert, pro master. And we, brought up the idea. I know that Hannah and Keith Glenn were discussing maybe making the rankings a number system, like 1 through 7, something like that. How do you feel
Mhm.
about doing that? And would that be easier to, shall we say, integrate within your software?
When it comes to ranks, that's something that we've been very heavily focused in the past couple months. By
Mhm.
we, I mean me and Łukasz, and Łukasz is the guy who's been designing all of the new point systems. He's been thinking about stuff like how do you even correctly handle doubles, because it's not like each player contributes the same amount. But
Mm.
when it comes to ranks themselves, what he's recommending as the easiest or the approach that would make the most sense would be to continue using skill-based point systems. So like a variation of ELO or GLICO, something that's built towards providing as accurate measurement of a player's skill as possible,
Mhm.
and then plotting those measurements like a histogram so that you will have like top 1% of players, you can say who they are. Top 5% of players, you can say who they are. Top 10, top 50, and top 90, and so on, right?
So percentage.
Percentage,
Yeah.
percentiles, percentages, yes. And what we would really like to be able to introduce at some point would be, we call them divisions, but it's a similar idea towards levels 1 through 7, because in our heads, division 1 would be the top 0.5% or top
Mm.
1%, which would be the pro master level players, maybe even a subset of master level players, and then division 2 being the top 5%, and so on. And we would not do points by continue accruing them, not be a mix of participation, skill, and results, but pure skill measurement that fit into percentiles, and your rank is your division.
So starting at 7, working your way up to 1.
We haven't decided how many divisions would be good,
Hmm.
but basically,
Okay.
you can say starting at 7, working your way up to 1. That's
Mhm. It's a kind of a subjective, depending upon how
yeah,
you want to look at it.
it,
Yeah.
it is. And the way you'd want to split into divisions, you'd kind of would look into it from the point of view of how do you want your tournament organized? Like how many divisions
Mm.
would it make sense to run in a tournament, right? Because those things, once you've got all the numbers right and you can really do percentages well, the divisions can come from a different place.
You mean
Because,
percentiles?
yeah,
Okay.
percentiles.
I don't
Because
know what the hell you're talking about, and it's not because you aren't explaining it well. I'm just not a math guy. I just show up and play. But I feel like what you're talking, well, when I did play, but I feel like what you're talking about, because I had this kind of a similar conversation, because remember talking during the height of the, and this happens a lot whenever we're talking about points and all this and the rankings. Year or two ago, because I remember talking to Clay Toomey about this, and he said the same thing about a ranks, but it wasn't. I don't remember if it was percentile or what. But you're talking about this now, and put it. How about give it to me in other terms for those of us out there that are the 5-year-olds? What's the impact that this has on a tournament if you were to switch to this?
I would think that it will give you more flow in tournaments, meaning that if you, for example, would organize your day such that you begin with an open tournament, and you would assume that the Division 7, so to speak, players would likely fall off in 2, maybe 3 matches, and then you'd follow with an event for them, right? And it continues like this through divisions all the way through Division 2, which would be the latest one to start.
Oh, so you could
If
basically. Sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that if you can get the skill measurements really, really well, you won't have a lot of issues with conflicts just running
Hmm.
events like this throughout a day.
So you're using, and that's why you are been doing all those the data points and everything you've been doing up there, right?
Mhm.
Because what you're doing is you're using that as like the prologue to be able to plan
You know,
you would almost know what the outcome of a tournament at a certain point once you have enough information, right?
it's surprising how accurate outcome you
Freaky.
can come up with even beforehand. I mean,
This is all a
you can see-
simulation.
you can see by yourself. Like whenever you look at a bracket and you're down to 4 teams, it's always seeds 1 through 4.
Right. Right.
So, I'm sure you've accounted for this, but you know what really holds up the tournaments, that I've been to are these like outlier type players who,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a woman and she's in expert singles and she's in the final. Well, now we're so far behind in everything, or doubles, or or
Mhm.
not. It's not a woman. Maybe it's a young and up and coming player that's a beginner, but he's also in the amateur doubles final. How do you account for that in like layman's terms of how to, how are you going to work around that? Because that seems to be an issue that
Uh-huh.
I've personally experienced at a few tournaments too.
So we have considered the latter case a bit more because very often, like you say, you have players who are simply not ranked in the system that you use at the moment for the tournament, and they will come in as a rookie or amateur currently, and they will just be an expert pro, very, very deep, basically holding
Mm.
everything up, right? And usually this is just a lack of information that you just don't have to begin with to rank them properly, but it's not like these players don't compete locally. Our like long-term goal would be to have a single point system that you can contribute to from local events, from
Nice.
different
Yes.
sizes, kind of
Yes.
working your way up into something really, really big.
Please.
And this can be done automatically too, because obviously the small DYP, like the weeklies that everybody runs, it's not as high stakes events, so the point changes wouldn't be as drastic as if you went to like a major.
Mm-hmm.
But those
Mm-hmm.
contributions, they add up, right? Like these players, they compete against players that actually go to majors, so you can get a good enough kind of starting point for a player that just hasn't been around on tour enough to be at the proper, I'd say, division
Well,
or
I mean,
percentile.
So
we don't discuss this till it's
Mhm.
dead, practically. In the fact that you go to a tournament that's, let's say, TKO. You go there and you meet people who are from the Kentucky area who never tour, classified as beginners or even rookies, and play like experts or pros, and basically, wipe out the competition. Someone like myself, who's, you know, I mean, I'm maybe an advanced beginner, but it's like, okay, I've got no hope in winning in a state tournament or even a regional tournament if beginners are still ranked beginners who are really experts. This is something that maybe a new system. If your points count when you play in your local DYP, that would change that
oh,
whole viewpoint.
so that's what you're talking about. I heard everybody go, "Oh wow," and I was like, "What?" I felt like that idiot in the back of the classroom that didn't know what just happened. Like somebody just gave all the answers, and I was trying to figure out. But so what you're saying is that if you start actually counting and tracking all the locals everywhere, you're going to
Mhm.
have this sample set for the larger tournaments, so people like Tom, that's an
Yeah,
advanced beginner, doesn't get smoked by somebody that is like a amateur or whatever,
or an expert,
or an expert.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
technically an expert.
Clay just wrote and said, "Name the last time a beginner won anything above rookie. I'll wait." Um, I'm not sure. We might not be able to. You might be spot on, Clay. I'm sure you know that more than I do. But
Evan
my
McGregor, Evan
Yeah, I
McGregor. I
mean,
mean,
maybe I don't even think Tony was a beginner when he was winning like semi-pro stuff and open, but my point was, say a rookie gets to play expert doubles and he makes it deep enough into the expert doubles chart, not to win, but enough to chunk stuff up. Same thing with women. It's 2 women play together in expert doubles and they do relatively well, and now they're top 5 and they're holding up women's singles, open mixed, the expert doubles bracket. You know what I mean? So it's just like little things like that.
Is that what happened to Colorado State the year before last? I famously wasn't there last year, but the year before that, I remember calling the 6 a.m. finals of open doubles. And was it Sully? Was it that same situation where somebody was holding up everything that was in? Somebody's got to know.
I'm trying to remember.
I'm not sure.
It's really hard to say what happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't even know
But
what
it
happened.
did finish really, really late.
That I remember.
I mean, here's a small. I mean, Clay said, "What event did Evan McGregor win as a beginner?" I'm not sure. Here's an example. Colton Patrick is a beginner. He's in the final of beginner doubles. He's also playing for King Seat in pro doubles last week or 2 weeks
TKO.
ago.
Yeah.
That holds
Right.
something up for me. You know what I mean? Not saying that it's a him problem, and there really weren't that many people, and it was ran really well. I can't, complain too much. But I was just saying, like, that's an aspect where if you have a Colorado turnout, then that's a problem. And it's a problem for more than just a few people. It really puts the tournament directors in a chunk, and it really just kind of messes everything up.
I love that
it
term.
seems.
I don't want to ever be in a
Good.
chunk. I don't know what that means.
Don't get in a chunk.
No junk.
I've been going to the gym 3 times a week to avoid
Smooth.
Yeah. Well, there's always this question of like, what's the purpose of even having ranks at a tournament, right? Because very, very often what you have is qualifiers. You'd run a Swiss system for everybody, and then you would, have like top 16 teams go into Division 1, top 32, the next 16 teams go into Division 2, and so on. And I feel like by having accurate ranks, you can just skip having to do qualifiers, right? So that's just one way for us to do tournaments in a very specific way. But there's also this entire aspect of just not having ranks at all to begin with. But that's I haven't seen this being done at scale just yet. We've done it locally a lot with success, but a major, I feel like adapting something like that would be a lot of change.
All at once, which would be a challenge.
Lots of change all at once. That's like my my couch.
No.
What? Couch jokes. Humor. Anyways. Well, I do want to backtrack just a skosh. Because I love this conversation. This is substantive and it's great, and I'm really enjoying everything. But I do want to just go back to MoneyBall real quick and just ask you, like, this is more of a traditional, because in contrast to the mashup, which was like, so Clay and I, we were the handsome commentators that I was alluding to earlier. Clay and I showed up Friday night at the Portland mashup. It's all on YouTube, House of Tournaments. Check it out if you haven't. It's a lot of fun. But we showed up and I think we started commentating at 8:30 at night on Friday night for those opening rounds. It's a different kind of tournament. But, and it went from 8:30 to 1:30 nonstop. I think we commented 14 matches in that amount of time. And I've done a lot of foosball tournaments in the last year and a half. That's a boatload of foosball. And it was exciting and it was fun. And I'm saying this to highlight a point. I feel like one of the biggest barriers to enjoying foosball as a viewer and as a new player, outside of just it happening too fast, is that it doesn't happen fast enough. If you're watching a foosball tournament over the course of a weekend and you're waiting, and it's no fault of the tournament director because they've got their bottom line and they're just trying to get stuff done, but you're watching table one in the course of a 12-hour stream and you see 10 matches, that's not fun to watch. The American populace, anyways, is primed to have a 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock time for a game, 7 to 5 prime time, whatever. It's your 4 hours, your 5 hours, and you're done. And we were getting that at the mashup. This is not happening per se at the MoneyBall because it's a different kind of format. But is this something that you would agree with? Is you and your numbers and what you've been seeing, like, do people just want 4 or 5 or 6 hours of foosball straight and then move on? And does that jive with the tournament directors? Does that jive with the players?
Well, I definitely think that not having to wait for your match indefinitely is something everybody wants. At mashup, we also learned that there can be such thing as maybe too much foosball for some of the pro players. That's the feedback I've gotten. I've played so much foosball to get to the first place. Maybe there can be an easier path for me. But I feel like, there's tons we can do with the formats that can fit the foosball into the prime time, make it much more catered towards both the viewers and the players.
So nobody's going to be happy to some degree. Because if we're catering,
Always.
yeah,
Always.
right. But we're also catering. Cause I feel like, and this is the elephant in the room, and something. This is not the discussion we need to have tonight. Or I just want to throw it out there for future conversations. But I feel like if we're really trying to cater to an audience and for it to be watchable, we have to change the way that tournaments are run. It's just the bottom line. That doesn't jive with how tournament directors have their bottom line, which I totally respect. So what do? Now, I do recall a part of that answer feels like to me this weekend, there's going to be some experimentation with lights. Is that something you can speak to, or is that something you just kind of want to wait? Because I don't know if you want to wait until afterwards.
I can talk to it. That's something we'll definitely bring in. So one thing that we want to do with this stream over this weekend is to kind of take foosball maybe one step towards pro sports a bit more, meaning that we want to run ads, foosball-related specific ads, kind of promoting everything that people do around foosball in between games. And to be able to do it, we have to kind of work with the players to make sure that we will get the 90 seconds in between games for the purpose of running those ads. So we've been trying to find a way to communicate to the players and back on how will they take the 90 seconds between games, how to make sure that the next match doesn't begin in the middle of us running an ad. So one thing we came up with was to develop those smart foosball lights, where as soon as the last ball of a game goes in, the lights turn red for 90 seconds, and then they go back to white again after the whole 90 seconds has elapsed. And we will have time to do any kind of thoughts about what just happened, some time for ads, and then go back into the next game.
So
I dig that. It's much more like real sports coverage when you've got that kind of like a timeout. It's a 30-second timeout. I mean, even when you're listening to baseball on the radio, let's say, they take a 10-second timeout. There's a quick ad, and they come back and they pick up the action where they left off. There's that kind of thing is a more major league sports idea, and it's been around for a long time.
And I like it, and we will do the same with timeouts as well. We will turn the lights red for 30 seconds whenever anybody takes a timeout. So that's an experiment.
Really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And World Cup, they did that as well. Now, when you're World Cup, they had refs, and they would like stick their hand out and be like, nobody can play, and like we were like, come on, we just scored, we want to keep playing, but they were like, nope, you got to take the full time. And so like we had time to turn around, talk to the bench. If people were sitting over there that could give us something, or just kind of keep us in the game, talk to your partner.
Yep.
But if we're moving foosball towards people who aren't foosball players watching, all these ideas are just so critical. Having the replays. No one, if you're not a foosball player, you don't see the ball. I totally agree. It's hard to keep up with. The slow motions, the personalities, checking out, yeah, I just scored. And I'm like, yeah, everybody wants to see that. They don't want to see you standing here, okay, yeah, scored, good. And no one gets to see the fun part of foosball. That's how you connect those people that aren't foosball players. The lights are cool. I think all of that is just such a great idea of moving foosball forward. The ads, that's great. The timeouts, take your time, the full time. I think all of that is really a step in the right direction for viewers who aren't foosball players, and that's a group we have to kind of get into this if we're gonna go.
Right.
And like Adam said, it's a long time. You don't want to sit there on ESPN and watch 10 hours of foosball. Well, what if you just highlighted a few, of the open doubles, and you did like top and win, semis, finals, or loser bracket final, and had those matches be played, and you could follow the trip back through the losers bracket, so like that's
Sure.
pretty cool. But it's a quick little highlight. But I guess that's an argument or discussion for another day. But I think what
Well,
you got going on is great. I really do.
Thank
Hannah,
you.
what you're talking about here is really how do we more effectively tell the story? Because telling the story of foosball when people are watching, how do we draw somebody into a story? Because that's really what it's about. If they can understand the story, they're going to stick around. This
Sure.
was proven years ago with World Poker Tournament. The World Series of Poker. They were able to bring people into the game more effectively when they started showing you the cards that the other players couldn't see, the whole cards. And so
Right.
then you got to see what each of these players were doing strategically against each other, depending upon what they were holding. So that all of a sudden increased their viewing audience exponentially. So if we can tell the story more effectively as foosball players are doing their thing, facial expressions is a great place to start, of course. But the drama and maybe the people who are commentating saying, last year these two went head to head and, this is what happened. And they haven't talked to each other since then. Things like
Yeah,
that.
a little bit of backstory, like college softball. You go and watch, and you're like, "Oh wow, Maya Brady is so good," and then you find out
Mhm.
like her uncle's like Tom Brady. She has this super cool backstory, and you're like, "Oh wow, this girl is good." And then she hits her home run, and you're like, "Okay,
Mhm.
now I'm connected to her. I want to see what she does this year." So it would be cool to have some information like that, like a backstory on these players to really connect. Tyler Fredo's been playing forever. He's won so many, world titles, and the last 10 times he's matched up against so and so. It went
Yeah.
down to whatever.
You're right.
That's data driven, and
Yeah.
I
also
like that.
personality
No, that's
driven.
good.
So.
Actually, Todd actually
It's
was
all
one of
there.
the first winner of crossing the Red Sea doubles. So I think that's really awesome for him.
Yeah, he played with Moses.
Oh no.
Kidding.
Now we're getting
Okay,
biblical
we're
on you.
done.
We're getting
We're done.
biblical on
We're
your
done
ass.
here.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's all fun and humor until we have biblical jokes. Wow, this is only the second episode of FoosWeek. This is so exciting. I love talking about foosball like this and these
Man, you
tournaments.
stepped up the game here. Adam, I got to say, you stepped up the game. Production-wise, we got a chance to see Jason Wicks in a previously recorded interview, and now we've got Dawid as our first official live guest. Wow, man, you're just killing this thing.
All I did was text people. And I put text. No, you're right. It was. I'm over here getting ready to go to this tournament, and I'm leaving on Thursday. I'm going out to Portland to do this, and I'm so excited. That the Pacific Northwest is my adopted. I actually self-adopted. I made them adopt me, and because that's where my parents
We didn't
met.
protest at all.
No, you didn't, and you shouldn't. But my parents met. My parents met at a foosball tournament 15 minutes away from where this venue is going to be this weekend. It's
Wow.
part of my heritage. Yeah.
That's a story right
It's
there.
cute as hell, damn it.
Like HAI.
Yeah.
Heritage. Yes.
Heritage.
Did you catch what she just did? She just,
Yeah.
she just got
I heard. Yeah. I'm seeing Clay is saying ball speed isn't the reason people don't watch at all. I'd say wait, what is that? Is that agreeing with me? Because if that's agreeing with me, then I agree. You know me. Steve Moses. That's terrible. Why am I reading that, Clay? Don't make me read that. Steve Moses.
It's so much more fun when Clay has his little tidbits in here, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
What do we say now?
He's basically occupying the chat room by himself a bit, I think, which is fine.
Yeah, no.
I also see the comment about block schedule, and I do agree with that. It's something that Texas State did for a long time, and it really works when it comes to just preventing conflicts.
I mean, and we've all played at Texas State, I think, right?
Mhm.
Tom, you have. I know I have. And
Yep.
Mhm.
actually, that's a lie. I haven't. Actually, I went to my first one last year. But anyways, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't need to give away company secrets. The point is that I know
You
intuitively.
played and beat me. You played.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but no, I meant the main. I meant the main thing. I meant the main weekend thing, not like the last night.
Same.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like I feel like as a player, I'd be a little bit bummed if there was some events I couldn't play, but at the same time, you're still playing 6, 7 events, right?
Mhm.
Like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak to that because I haven't played in it.
It's just a consensus. I mean, if you go to a weekend tournament, if you're playing in more than 4 or 5 events during the weekend, I mean that's a lot of foosball. But
You have to be ready to play back to back to back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some of us can handle it. I'm in my 60s, so it's just not a wise thing for me to do. But no, it's I wonder about some of the major tournaments with all the events that are going on for the entire weekend. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. And I guess technically, if you're able, you could enter what, 9, 10 events for a weekend in some cases. Is that true?
You can.
Wow.
Wow. That's a lot. I don't want to even talk about that. My hip started hurting. I feel like because I have to figure out how I'm going to put all these microphones in my bag. I don't want to end the party unless we have more questions or comments or anything. Hannah, anything else on your mind here about this weekend or foosball in general, or looking forward to other tournaments? Because you're not playing until Vegas.
No, I'm not playing until Vegas. We booked flights yesterday, so
I booked my car. I'm driving there.
excited. Oh, jealous. But yeah, no, I'm excited about the weekend. I'm excited about the coverage. I'm hopefully going to get to watch some of it. I don't know what all we're doing this weekend, but hoping to get to watch a good bit of foosball. And if not, I'll check out the charts and see who's winning what. And I think coming up next, not this coming weekend, but the next is maybe Georgia.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk to someone about Georgia.
Oh, the weekend after
There's
MoneyBall is
some
Georgia.
talk about that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's going to be a good one.
And it's also South Dakota, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
South Dakota.
Yeah, I know Tony was debating which one to go to.
And then there's Costa
He's
Rica.
going Georgia.
And then
There's Costa Rica.
and they formally, and then there's the Arnold, and they formally announced Oklahoma State, which I am putting on my radar.
Oklahoma State, really?
Yeah, I really want
Okay.
to. I want to go to that. I love Tommy Atkinson. I want to just support everything he's doing. So,
Man, if foosball grows and there becomes 50 tournaments with 50 states, then what do we do?
get another state
Never
incorporated.
stop playing.
Oh,
Yeah.
call it a win.
Thanks. Bye. No. But it's exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the schedule can only get so full. There's just so many players to go around right now.
Yeah, we'll see. Cloning technology is really coming along.
Jeez.
I know. Tom, any
Dawid,
any last? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Dawid, I got to say, kudos to you. And of course, putting your neck out there when it comes to developing new software. I mean, obviously, anything that's technologically based requires some engineering. And of course, it's the trial and error, and of course, testing it in the field, and the things that what I got to respect about you, of course, when we were at Michigan State together, you were there the entire time to help out with issues that might have arisen with the software. I mean, how many developers are actually going to do that? That's again, hats off to you for doing that, and really psyched about the fact you're moving forward and improving along the way. Every step of the way, you're making improvements.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, hopefully then the next big thing will be the UX improvements.
Mhm.
So, stay tuned.
Well, as we wrap up here, Clay says that the player base is growing. How is it growing?
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing. I want to know.
Yeah,
But while
I believe it.
No, he's going to respond. I know he's going to respond. But Dawid, as we're wrapping up here, any last words, thoughts, impressions, comments?
Make sure to tune in, over the weekend. Check out the Twitch streams. We'll have really good football for you. Try to perfect the way we can stream. Let's see if you can make it an enjoyable experience.
That's
How
awesome.
about we come back together again and talk about it after
I'd love to.
the fact? Yeah.
Wait a minute. I might have to do that next Monday. Are you, Hannah and Tom, are you still okay with doing that next Monday
Well,
sometime?
of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Tuesday's a
you
travel
mentioned,
day.
like earlier, right?
Yeah, we do it earlier. We could talk about that. And we'll put that out there, but maybe
Yeah, that'd be great.
we could have because I'll be there. Dawid, maybe you can hop on and we could chat and do this, but do it locally. But we'll get all that information out there. But
I also have one more small tidbit that I kind of messed up last episode, and my mom ended up watching.
oh no!
And she was like, Hannah, we have to talk about something. And I was like, okay, what I say? And she's like, I didn't memorize the phone book through H. Who would do that? I did it through T. And I was like, all right. So you're trying to flex.
I know. I was about to
Why
say.
don't you just finish the rest of it, Mom? But she was very like, Hannah, why would I just go to H? And she put her foot down, and I had to make a correction that my mother actually did go to T in the phone book.
But why T? And
That's my question.
does she not
Why
have an
not
answer?
finish her on out? You know, I don't know. That could be our next week.
I think so. I think that should be just a series. I need to know everything that your mom corrects
Maybe
you
my
on.
mom just needs to do an episode. Yeah.
Yeah, just be like, why?
Hey,
Why tea?
I
though?
dig that. I dig
Yeah,
that.
right. I know. Foosball
You know, Adam.
genius right there.
Adam's going to talk to his parents when he's up in Portland, and maybe record it. You just never know. So, bringing your mom on, I think that would be only fair.
Yeah,
I think so.
Foosball.
Or my dad. He's way more entertaining.
Wow.
Is he really?
We'll open with that. By the way, you're less entertaining than your husband.
No, she's like a genius. He's just like no filter. So it's always
what we
fun to
need.
get the
No
mix,
filter.
you know? Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Dawid, would you like to bring your parents on sometime? When
Come on, David, bring him on.
No, it would be an expensive flight.
Understood.
They both live in Poland, but I think they would come if invited. Yeah, maybe one day, somewhere on the East Coast.
And do they like to watch foosball by any chance?
I don't think they're like particular football fans, but they do
Okay.
tune in when I'm playing. So
Awesome.
Very cool.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you. FoosWeek episode number 2. Thank you to all the Patreons out there, everybody listening. Hannah and Tom, Jason Wicks, of course. Dawid, I really appreciate you filming yourself on a balcony this evening overlooking Seattle.
You look great.
Yeah, that's a nice look for you.
Just don't lean back too far; you
It's
might fall off the edge.
strange
There.
weather today, but
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend and looking forward to talking to everybody. We'll let everybody else know when we're going to be doing the FoosWeek episode number 3, which I think should be probably next Monday. But until then, thanks everybody. Really appreciate it.
thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
Safe travels.